helicopter. Okay. It's not surprised considering how fast fucking 9-year-old went at turn 9. You're literally white.
Ah! How are you 2.5 seconds on the pace?
Hello everybody and welcome to the first race of the ALR season. My name is Luke and you'll be watching my fantastic onboards for the foreseeable future. We are here in Australia, round 1. I am in the Kick Sauber here, just about to head out for my final lap in qualifying. It's been an okay session so far. As you can see, top 4 in the top left corner, so a strong start. Wasn't the best first lap, but it was not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. So here we are coming on to my final lap of qualifying session, just over 20 seconds on the clock. Still P4. I cannot afford to mess this up, otherwise it will be no higher than 4th on the grid for me, coming across the line to start the lap. Now my turn 1 and 2 were really strong compared to my previous lap, already up nearly a 1/10.5 as we come down on the run to turn 3, so I'm already feeling pretty good about myself coming into turn 3. Not too bad from turn 3, slightly understeer on the exit, and I critically miss the inside curb here at turn 4, which means my time gain has been halved, only 0.7 up as we head towards the end of sector 3. I'm about a half tenth up on Dan in P2, but another really poor run of corners for me, and I'm barely up at all. In fact, I burn a little bit more battery to try and ensure that I am gaining time, but it's not great so far. Just shy of half a tenth up. I know that sector 3 has to be great, and sector 3 on my first lap was pretty poor, so I know that there is definitely time here to be gained. Already up, look at that, from half a tenth up to 3/10 up. The time has come here, down through 9-10 into turn 11. Get the corner just right, again 3/10 up, so I'm really happy at this point. Careful not to take the inside curb. I do touch it, the rear end does protest a bit, but not too much time lost. Now coming into the penultimate 2 corners, tyres are squealing out a bit, they're slightly overheating, but 4/10 up as we head onto the back straight. Really strong lap here for me, not my personal best, but up into a 16.4 that does get me P2 as the session came to an end. Now unfortunately will not be keeping P2. The other people do improve. Dan here in the Alpine is one of them. I know my lap time was quite good compared to his. I was pretty close. I'd beat his original lap time. He's going to cross the line after me. He's going to jump onto pole position with a 16.2, which demotes me down to P3. And there is your final grid. My teammate is P8 in Smithy Almighty. So a strong qualifying for the Kick Saubers. Everyone qualified on softs naturally, but being F124, the game didn't quite feel like giving us any of those tyre choices. So a good qualifying. First round of the season, first round in ALR Bronze, P3 on the grid, 2/10 off pole, and not a personal best lap time for me, although my personal best lap time probably would have kept me in third. My PB was a 16.3 from a league race I'd done the night before at Melbourne, so not the best league race pole position time ever. Going now into the race formation lap is on. We did actually have a lobby restart, so that's why I'm going in to check my setup. I do skip the setup because sadly, guys, I can't give away my setup secrets. Can't let the opposition know what I'm doing. So we're back on the grid. We've had a lobby restart, which is really annoying because it does take me a little bit out of the flow that qualifying gets you. So we're still P3, coming to the end of the formation lap. As you can see, the top 5 all on medium tyres, which gives you, as a driver, a little bit of peace of mind. You know that no one around you is A, going to get a really good start, or B, get a really bad start. So really quite happy with the tyre selection around us. Some people further back had gone hards. They won't really be a factor in the opening lap. So everyone around me is on mediums. I know that the starts will be pretty much evenly aligned as we draw up on the grid spot. Let's see what I can do, getting 0.3 meters away, so purple on the grid, which is fantastic for me. Of course, friendly reminder, I'm not the best ever F1 driver. I'm not esports level, far from it. This is a fun league, relatively semi-serious. So here we go as we come up now to the 5 red lights. Dan has his ERS light flashing and an internet connection issue, which is never a particularly strong thing. So Dan gets an okay start, but you can see his ERS light is flashing, which means he was on none at the start. He goes across to cover Rocket Lee. I try and sneak around the outside of Rocket Lee, get my first warning of the race at turn 1, which is not ideal because, as I'm sure you'll come to find out later in this championship, I'm pretty bad at track limits. I am often running wide, getting those limits, getting those penalties. But we stayed where we are off the line, which is neither good, neither bad. But as you can see, Rocket Lee and Dan Dan both have the internet symbol next to their names, which means they're lagging a bit. As you can see there, Rocket Lee rubber bands back, but there is a virtual safety car. So we have a VSC. There was a crash further down the grid. We have already lost a driver, only a virtual safety car. So we sort of all form up. It does help you relax. The grid will now sort of relax a bit. They'll form up a little bit. You don't quite have that excitement. They're well over Delta, 4 seconds over Delta, because nobody wants to get a drive-through penalty, especially if you're at the front of the grid. So we're well over our Delta, which is a mostly safety precaution. Don't want to get that drive-through penalty for speeding, and especially when it's sort of you at the front. So we sit behind the VSC. I'm still third. There's been a little bit of movement behind me, but that doesn't concern me right now. I'm third, recharging that battery that I haven't really used on the opening lap, but always good to have that 100% so that, you know, when we do go green again, that we have full battery, we can attack if need be, or defend from the cars behind, because there are some very quick drivers behind Dynamo Dan and Hungry Styles. Are very quick drivers. Hungry Styles has just upgraded to a Fanatec wheel for this season, so he will be very quick. He has that proper esports wheel. I'm on a DualShock 4 controller. A little bit of disparity there, and obviously I'm running with probably more assists than he is, being on the controller. So the VSC still out for that lap 1 crash. It will go away pretty soonish, and funny enough, that will be the end. There'll be no more safety car interruptions. Here we go. We are ending, still well over the Delta. I close in a bit to Rocket Lee, but of course it goes green at the wrong time. Not much I can do in this part of the track. Rocket Lee already going to none a bit. Not quite sure why he was doing that. Again, we are not the smartest league racers, as you'll soon find out. But DRS is enabled. It was only a virtual safety car, so we're going to be going straight into the action. Coming down now the back straight of Albert Park, right up the chuff of Rocket Lee. Rocket Lee looks like he's going to get a move on Dan Dan. I still have Dynamo Dan in my DRS behind, so we have a nice DRS train, as you can imagine, on lap 1. Rocket Lee sails clean around the outside of Dan Dan. He will now lead the train. I do think about going for Dan Dan here because his ERS light is flashing. He won't have DRS. Do I go for it? I do not. Because I don't have quite the overspeed to get him. Dan Dan probably using a bit just to stay ahead. He wants to stay second in the train, and that is the end of lap 2's action. Obviously, still a DRS straight to go, but seeing as we're in a DRS train, there's not much we can do. Rocket Lee did try and make a Scarpa, but there's not much he can do. Speeding up now onto lap 3, obviously flurry of fastest laps because of the virtual safety car, sitting very much in this DRS train. The DRS train does sort of filter out a bit. The top 6, 7 are the ones that are sticking with the leader. See on the mini-map, we do already have a little bit of elasticity. People are starting to fall back. They're starting to break out of the DRS line. Another flurry of fastest laps, all of course from the top few who are in the DRS. I'm all over the back of Dan Dan, but there's not much I can do. My setup is pretty medium downforce, so I'm not losing a lot in the straight line, but he has that DRS on Rocket Lee. He has that battery. You can see he's saving all the way through sector 3, so there's not much I can do against him. He's not really going for any moves on Rocket Lee. It's lap 5 of 29. We all know that there is a long way to go in this race. Dan Dan goes around the outside of Rocket Lee, takes his position at the head of the train, and I am still stuck in third. Now coming on to lap 6, the reason I slow down the footage, as you will see, Rocket Lee takes a bit too much on the inside, loses the rear end. I say to my engineer, I'm going to go for it, and I do. Into P2, clear Rocket Lee in the Williams, which from a mistake he made. So now I assume second place in the standings, second place in the race. No one is able to break away. That's the main thing that we've noticed so far in this league race. No one has the pace to break this DRS train. We're all right behind each other. And the way that Albert Park circuit is laid out, it's very difficult to break DRS. There's not a lot of time between DRS zones to allow for people to break away. So really sort of stuck in this DRS train behind Dan Dan. I'm going to go for it. Not into turn 9 because it is a risk. I don't have the overspeed on him. I'm going to look to get a better exit on the Alpine. Take not too much of the inside curb. Use a little bit of hot lap on the exit with the DRS. Dan Dan doesn't go to defend that much. I got the inside, and I now assume the head of the train. So I've gone from P3 to P1 in the span of less than a lap. Slightly lose the rear on traction. Dan Dan thinks about the inside move, but he knows that there's not really much he can do at that part of the track as we now fast forward. So I am now leading the train. I am now the one that has to punch the hole through the air. So I'm sitting here going, okay, can I break away? I get the gap to 7/10, but again, that's not enough. So we don't quite have the pace as Rocket Lee overtakes Dan Dan. Again, I'm thinking, can I break away? The answer is unfortunately at this point in the race, no. They are keeping with DRS, and at this point, I'm not burning ERS particularly. I know it's a frugal choice. There's not much I can do to break away. Rocket Lee, he's going to use his ERS if I use mine. It's just going to be a game of cat and mouse. So holding on to the lead, coming on to lap 9. Got Dynamo Dan up to P3, so Dan starting to struggle on his tyres, falling back a bit. My teammate Smitty in the pits, he does not have the strongest race ahead of him. Coming now down onto lap 9 and 10, coming through the long left and rights of the Albert Park track. I love this track. This is like a home track to me. I spent a long time studying in Melbourne. I have family who live in Albert Park, so I know every inch of this Albert Park track in real life. Coming onto lap 10 now, down the back straight. I know that Rocket Lee's had a much better run through the left-right, and he blasts straight past me. No major fears for me right now. As I've said, no one really has the pace to break away. Dynamo Dan is still sticking with us. Dan is, as you can see, the gap has extended. Astrodron in P5, who currently has the fastest lap, he's 4 seconds off me. So that DRS train has elongated. It's now just the 4 of us. And as you can see here, critically, Dynamo Dan loses out on DRS. So into the pits comes Dan going for that undercut, which is pretty powerful around here, given the fact that the tyres do wear. At this point, it's lap 11. We've had 11 laps on these full medium tyres. I'm closing into the back of Rocket Lee. I want to take back the lead of the race. Doesn't really matter at this point. We're barely halfway through. So I'm going to go up the inside of Rocket Lee. And straight into the gravel trap, which was probably a stupid move. The second I hit the brake pedal, I knew immediately that I'd gone too deep. My engineer is screaming at me to pit because my rear tyres are now overheated, and I follow his advice by not pitting. He's screaming at me to pit. I don't feel ready to pit because I don't want to run out of tyres at the end of the race. And as you can see, my rear left is now sort of that yellowy lime colour, which means I do have overheated rear tyres. So that's not great. And I've got Dynamo Dan, who I'm not going to be able to escape from him, given my tyre situation. I am sliding into these corners. The tyres are done for, and my engineer says do the opposite of Rocket, and then we decide, well, actually now might as well pit if Rocket pits. If Rocket doesn't pit, I'll get the undercut. If he does, I need to come in. These tyres are shot. Into the pit comes Rocket. Into the pit I come. Into the pits comes Dynamo Dan, and Astrodron stays out. So it is a one-stop strategy, as it is at any track on F124, bar any safety cars. So we're going to go from the medium tyres onto the hard tyres, which will take us to the end of the race. Come out just as the Haas dives in, but no held up there. So a strong stint. Now, the critical thing is there goes Dan in the Alpine. Obviously, he pitted 2 laps before us, so he's had a massive undercut. So he is well clear of us now. He is 2.5 seconds clear of me. He's a second clear of Rocket Lee, who, as at the end of lap 15, you can see I have caught up to the back two. I have shown really strong pace coming off my pit stop. I have really got up to the back of Rocket Lee, and as we come up to the line onto lap 16, it is the fastest lap of the race for me, a 19 flat. So I have the pace. Rocket Lee, again, not great through turn 1 and 2. Bit too much curb on the inside, bit too much grass round the outside, and I'm now into P2. But Dan is still 2 seconds up the road, and although I have fresher tyres and some good pace, it is going to take a bit of work to catch up to him, naturally. So we are now P2. We have Rocket Lee, who we know we can't really break away from behind us. We know that Rocket Lee and I know that we have to try and work together here. We have to try and work together to catch up to Dan. We have the tyre advantage. Clearly, I have a bit of a pace advantage. Rocket Lee's going to sort of attach himself to the back of me, so if he's able to keep up with me, he will be able to catch up to the back of Dan, and we can have a 3-way fight for the lead of this race. Absolutely incredible, except there's Dan. He loses control of the car, lap 16, spins round, and he is out of contention. He falls off the back of the top 3. It would have been a fantastic fight for first between the 3 of us. Unfortunately, Dan does fall at the wayside, and he will have no further impact on the conclusion of this race, if for at least the fight for P1. As you can see, he's 3rd, but he will have Dynamo Dan all over his posterior, and there will be a massive fight between those guys over the last podium positions that will rage for the entirety of the race. Now, coming on to lap 18, I'm yet to lose the lead. I've held the lead since overtaking Rocket Lee and Dan on lap 16. There goes Rocket Lee. He blasts straight past me with the use of ERS and DRS. Now, I'm 4 tenths down coming into turns 9 and 10. I want to try and keep within DRS range. He's going to have DRS again and will probably burn. The gap is going to increase a bit, but due to my setup, I do have some pretty decent speed in Sector 3. As you can see, Dan has to save ERS, so he has to fall back. I don't have to save ERS because I haven't used that much, so there is no chance of him escaping. And we are back into what will effectively be the two of us fighting for this race lead. As you can see, Dynamo Dan and Dan Dan, they're 7 to 8 seconds behind us. We're not that quick, Rocket Lee and I, but we just simply are able to just pull each other along. And with the DRS here at Melbourne, there's a lot of DRS zones. There's 4, so we're able to just pull away. And as I said, those guys behind us are fighting for P3. There's a gaggle of about 4 cars all fighting for 3rd position. We got the inside of Rocket Lee on lap 19. We assume, again, the lead of the race. And this is the sort of pattern we're now in. Rocket Lee and I are pulling away from the Dans behind. We are not quick enough to break DRS to each other, but we are able to sort of jockey, go backwards and forwards, just sort of swapping DRS with each other. Again, Rocket Lee gets a good run on me, but he can't break out. He has to save ERS in that 3rd sector. I'm not really using it at the moment because I know we're still a while away from the end of the race, and neither one of us is really got much point in burning the ERS because we're not going to be able to break DRS to each other. Lap 21, back straight. It's going to be another move. Rocket Lee, a little bit hesitant on which part of the track he wants to be on. I go around the outside. Styles retires from the race, so not a strong first outing for the Hash driver. He does a pit and quit, so there'll be no safety car, no further intrusions. So that is good. Coming out into Sector 3, the gap is 5/10, and I'm thinking, can I break it to Rocket Lee? Can I break it? If he's saving ERS, I might be able to break DRS to him, and then that happens. I have a massive snap of oversteer. I touch the curb. My life flashes before my eyes. I keep it out of the barrier. There is no damage, but any hope of pulling out of Rocket Lee is dashed. As you can see there, probably for the split second, I was a second clear of him. That has now been dashed. Not only have I made a mistake that's kept him in DRS range, but my rear tyres are slightly cooked. Not quite as bad as it was at the end of the medium stint, but not enough to be able to pull away. Rocket Lee takes the lead of the race again, capitalises on my mistake, but again, we cannot break DRS. And as you can see, the gap behind is increasing. Winnie's now in 3rd, Dynamo Dan 4th, Dan Dan is 5th. So this gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they're all fighting. They're not doing what Rocket Lee and I were doing, which is working together. They're all fighting each other. So they're not helping each other, and Rocket Lee and I are able to pull away in the final stages of this race. Rocket Lee doing a lot of ERS saving. As my engineer said at the time, that's the best way to do it. You just burn, and then when you know that your rival can't get past you, that is when you save. I get past Rocket Lee, lap 24 of 29. It is nearing the end of the race, but we are well clear. So this is a 2-horse race for the race win. There is no other factors going to be involved. It's me versus Rocket Lee. What can we do? First race of the season. We both want to have the momentum going into this season. We're both hoping to challenge for this title, although as it is very early stages, we don't want to build up too many expectations, but we are hoping to challenge for that title. Lap 26. Rocket Lee and I now both know that whoever's going to be leading on the last lap is not going to be winning the race. And here we are, the penultimate lap, the end of the penultimate lap. Rocket Lee, you'll see here, is going to start really backing me up. He is slowing me down. He does not want to be ahead of me coming into that last DRS straight on the back straight. So we are just going to play a game of chicken. He's coming into now turn 3. I've got DRS again. And again, you can see he's backing us up. He's slowing me down. He does not want me to be behind him. And we're going so slow. It gets to this point, he makes a slight mistake, and I just belt it. My engineer is screaming at me. He is going, what have you just done? You've thrown away the race win. But as you can see from the top left, Rocket Lee was not expecting me to dash there. I am now that second clear, and I will remain a second clear. He does not have DRS on me. On the last lap of the race, I do a relatively intelligent move for me, considering, again, I'm not the Pro League racer. I do have that gap to Rocket Lee. I break clear. He doesn't have DRS, and there is one more sector to go. Into turns 9 and 10 for the last time. I have a slight snap of oversteer. Doesn't quite give my confidence that much, but the tyres are cooked. I've had them on the car for 16 laps. The rears are pretty much done here. But there's nothing Rocket Lee can do. He has closed back up. He's burnt more ERS than me. As you can see, I still have a lot of ERS left. Nearly half my battery. I'm saving it for the start-finish straight. Don't want him to have any run on me at all. And as we round the final corner of the ALR Bronze Australian Grand Prix, it is me who is ahead. It is me who will win the first race of the season. P1 at my home track. Now, as you can see, Rocket Lee did pick up a 3-second penalty out of the final corner. That wouldn't have played into it because I think if I was ahead, I would have been able to he probably wouldn't have made that mistake if I was behind him. As you can see here, driver standings, first race of the season. So naturally, the standings are just simply what the drivers finished in P1 for us, P2 for Rocket Lee, and P3 for Dynamo Dan. Smithy Almighty, my teammate, only picks up P12, but given the point system in ALR Bronze, points are awarded down to P15. So, as we move on to the constructor standings, as you can now see, we are leading the constructor standings, 28 points to Williams' 26. So really, really good. Really good start to the season. A track that I really love at Melbourne for personal reasons. Really, really happy. Now, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment me down below. Give me some feedback. Tell me if I'm good. Tell me if I'm bad. And this is just beginning, folks. ALR is just beginning.